The triumph of talent. Want to hear from a woman who has overcome serious adversity, given back to the community, and can quite literally sing about it? Well, tonight's guest has all these characteristics and more. Welcome to Northern Vibe. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've never met. I'm Matt Maloney, host and founder of Northern Vibe. We're about sharing stories. This is where discussions are held with interesting, informed people to gain their perspectives on any issues that cultivate curiosity. And Northern Vibe is a tirelessly optimistic show. This week, I've been lucky enough to get Keely Johnson on. Now, the word inspirational is a little bit overused, but this young lady really is. Before we go any further, please like and share. Northern Vibe is growing, but we need your help to keep up the momentum. We're getting some really interesting locations where people are listening from, so please tell us where you're from. Looking at the screen here, a big hello from Ayr. No surprise, really, considering where our guest is from. But I don't know if the legendary Peter Austin was exaggerating or not, but hello, Mexico. And we've got some great suggestions from the comments page, so please keep them coming. And this includes suggestions for guests. Look, if you're interested in coming on Northern Vibe, you want to nominate someone for coming on Northern Vibe, contact me through the Facebook page. I'll be doing a brief intro for the magnificent Keely, but first, we always have a mention in dispatches to a charity who are doing great work. And this week, a big shout out to the Golden Octopus, which is Keely's charity. We'll get her to explain it a little bit more later. I'm going to give the briefest of bios for Keely, although it will sound a little bit long. The entire point of this interview is you finding out about this really impressive young lady, and much will be revealed during the interview process. So, about Keely. Currently living in Ayr, Keely is a 2016 graduate of the Junior Academy of Country Music. She's been mentored by Lee Kernaghan. She co-wrote and co-recorded a song with Mr. Kernaghan, written in honour of children fighting cancer, Turn This to Gold. I can tell you that this tune is catchier than COVID and the Black Death put together. I've listened to it a few times. And it made it to #1 on country iTunes. Now, Keely has performed with Lee at Tamworth 7 years in a row, at Cowboy Games in Townsville, and a few other places. We're going to dive into that, so I don't want to give away too much. I can indicate that she's in the process of completing yet another record. Her debut CD came out just recently, and she has helped raise over $900,000 for children's cancer charities. She has, of course, also formed her own childhood cancer charity, the Golden Octopus Foundation, which is raising money to allow children to be able to stay in their homes across Australia instead of having to travel and stay for long periods at major hospitals in the state. That's something a bit close to my heart, obviously, being from the New State movement. So the fact that the regions really need a bit more empowerment. She's been awarded the Queensland Young Achiever Award for 2017 and 2018. Keely, welcome to Northern Vibe.
Hey, Matt, how you going?
Oh, mate, look, let me tell you, all the better for having you. I've been really looking forward to this interview. I'm kind of stoked. And my dad, who's become a great fan of Northern Vibe, thanks very much, Dad. He said, when I posted this on Facebook, he said, "Oh my God, you're going to be interviewing this lady. I'm definitely tuning into that one." So, you've got a bit of a fan base, I know, from your Facebook, but I can tell you from my dad is going to be a fan after this, because the research that I've done on you has indicated that you're somewhat of an unsung hero, and that's what I was tempted to name tempted to title this interview. But look, it wasn't enough to include on your bio, but you're also in the Queen's Baton Relay. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so back in 2018, I relapsed with brain cancer, and my mum had applied for me to run with the Queen's Baton in Ayr down one of our main streets. And what ended up happening is I was down there having 2 more brain surgeries and radiation, and I thought, oh, how am I going to get back for this Queen's Baton Relay in Ayr? So I put my tough boots on and flew back to Ayr. We flew to Townsville, then drove to Ayr, and I ran in the Queen's Baton Relay while on radium.
Oh my God. So were you like radioactive running around there, putting out the rays?
Oh, I don't know. I wanted to tie a gold ribbon on the Queen's baton, but I wasn't allowed because the security said, you can't put anything on the Queen's baton. But yeah. I tied a massive big gold ribbon to my wrist and ran with that in honour of all the kids, childhood cancer that have been affected, past, present, and future, and gold is the colour of childhood cancer. So.
Look, I was going to ask this question later on. Believe it or not, to my listeners out there, I assure you I actually do structure my interviews. I know you wouldn't sit looking, but I promise you that actually does happen. But let's dive into your cancer. I mean, are you willing to tell us about that? Could you tell us, what it is and how it affects you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been very fortunate enough in my gene pool that I've had 2 different diseases. So when I was 4.5, I got diagnosed with Arnold-Chiari malformation, where the fluid at the base, where it was collecting at the base of my brain and getting pushed down the middle of my spinal cord. And I would run into Mum saying that I had Sharpies in my hands and feet, which was pins and needles, and would grab the back of my head after playing on a trampoline. And Mum, being a nurse, she knew that this wasn't right. So she took me to, 17 different doctors and pediatricians and everything until she forced someone to say, I need to get an MRI for my daughter. And I got diagnosed with Arnold-Chiari malformation and had my first brain surgery when I was 4.5. And then 6 months later, when I was 5, just a bit over 5, I developed symptoms again and developed a Syrinx, which went from C3 down to L1, still the largest in a child today. And I wasn't eating, and I was eating ice cubes, and they even tried to bribe me with Macca's, which was my favourite when I was little, and I wouldn't eat that. So Mum was going to take me over to New York at the Chiari Institute over there. But before she did, she rang Sydney Children's Hospital and said, give us your 3 top neurosurgeons and the top of your list, and Charlie Teo was number 1. And he operated on me when I was 6. We went down and saw him 2 days later. He had me in the operating theatre because it was a massive emergency, and he saved my life when I was 6.5 or 6. So I was good. He saw a pineal cyst that was in my brain from the MRI, and everyone had cysts. No one was worried about that. And it wasn't until I was at age 11 that I started developing different symptoms. And I was a lot littler than everyone else. And then I started drinking and peeing at the age of 13. And I would drink a litre of water within an hour and pee it out. I would do that. I would do all night and all day. And I would drink 8 litres of water overnight and pee it out. So I was getting no sleep. So my mum, being very, very intelligent and being a clinical nurse, she thought this wasn't right in a child. She thought this would look like diabetes insipidus. Now, not a lot of nurses heard about that, but Mum, of course, she knew everything in the textbook. So took me to Pat Ryan in Townsville, and he found that I had 3 tumours in my brain by an MRI. So I had one in my pituitary gland, one in my pituitary stalk, and one in my hypothalamus. And that knocked out all my hormones. So I didn't develop, I didn't grow. I was drinking and peeing, I lost my thyroid. So basically it was my puberty hormone, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, antidiuretic hormone, and my flight or fight hormone. So I had no adrenaline either. So went in with the 2 more brain surgeries, which is the 3rd and 4th, into the front to try and get a biopsy of the tumour in the pituitary stalk, and they missed both times. So my mum said, no, I've had enough. They cut the stalk, which made me lose all my hormones, because I still had 2 in that was still there, which was my adrenaline and my thyroid. But they cut it, so I lost both them. She took me over to Texas in America, and I got diagnosed over there with central nervous system Langerhans cell histiocytosis, or CNS-LCH for short, which is a form of blood cancer. And I had a year of chemo for that, and that didn't work. And it wasn't until 2018 where they diagnosed me, the cancer spread. So the pineal cyst that Charlie had picked up when I was 6 turned cancerous. So they found that in 2018 after I came back from Nashville, and needed to do 2 more brain surgeries. I seem to have brain surgeries and lots of 2s. And I had 3 months worth of radium, and then they found out that it was brain cancer and not blood from those 2 in Brisbane.
Sweet mother of God.
Yeah. So I was the lucky one in that I have a sister as well, and I got the lot. I got the braces, I got the 8 teeth removed, I got the osteoporosis, the scoliosis, a lot of it.
Seriously, I don't know what to say to that. I've called this interview the Triumph of Talent, and I knew it was going to be good, and I knew it was going to be triumphant, but I didn't think it would be quite that triumphant. So
it's the doctors find it a miracle how I'm still alive. So I know my miracle's sitting right here on the couch. I wouldn't be alive without her, and I wouldn't be alive without my dad either if he wasn't on a good wage. So, but yeah, I'm very lucky. You know, I believe, you know, I'm not super religious or anything, but I believe God gave me my mum and dad for a very special reason, and yeah, this was it.
Yeah, I kind of, without delving too deep into the religiosity, you know, most people, anyone who's watched Northern Vibe knows that I'm a you know, reactionary Catholic, but yeah, I do think there's something in that, and you know, part of it would perhaps, if I can make the indication that ensuring that the talents that you have are brought out to the world, and I'm happy to be part of that. Actually, if I may make the observation. So yeah, look, I'm sorry that's on me a little bit. You know, and it's not as if I knew it was tough, but you know.
Oh, it's all right. You know, I've just had a lot of potholes in my road to success. You know, I've had a lot of roadworks.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell me about the Junior Academy of Country Music.
Yeah. So I in 2016 I went to the Junior Academy of Country Music, and that was my mentor Lee Kernighan's idea. He said, you know, to pursue yourself better in country music, you need to go to the academy. So I did it, the junior one in 2016 and the senior one this year, and graduated from both them in 2020. And yeah, it was really good. I got to, you know, write songs with Amber Lawrence and sing with who else was there? Elise Simmons, Ashley Dallas, you know, hang out with all those girls, and Roger Corbett, Lynn Botel, Felicity Urquhart, sing and write songs with all them, and it was amazing. Yeah, absolutely loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I bet. My gosh, you know, this idea of educational opportunities and being able to meet magnificent, inspirational people. Believe me, I can empathise deeply with that. And you know, that's one of the great things about Northern Vibe. I've got to say, like, I've been able to speak to some absolute legends, and it's kind of cool and it's humbling. But I've just got to duck off. Facebook's going nuts. Hello to Mr. Goff in Beenleigh.
That's Don Goff. Hey, Don.
Hello to Mr. Rogerson in Cairns. To Chris McLaughlin, I believe, in the Gold Coast. Mr. Jones. Ms. Harvey. And Mr. Branstrod from Cairns. Great to see you back, sir. Margie Belterson, and yeah, look, so you know, it's clearly you've hit a bit of a nerve here. So look, where else have you performed? You know, you've done a bit of performing now. Can you run us through what you've done?
So I've been very, very, very lucky. You know, I might have had a tough road in my medical scenario, but I've had one hell of a ride in my life, and My first ever performance, and this is going right back to when I was 10, when I first made my public appearance at my grandparents' birthday. I sang Delta Goodrum's Born to Try. That was my first ever song that I learned. And that was at my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary and my nana's 70th. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, so it all started from I started singing when I was 4, and I started learning piano before I could sing. And I was a bit posh when I was a kid and said that the piano seat was too hard. And I wanted to take up singing instead. So, I just all of a sudden just formed this really great connection with music and started writing songs and everything. And I recorded my first ever song called Little Decky. That was to the theme of Eye of the Tiger when I was 11. And that was for my mate who had childhood cancer that passed away. And then I sang that at Ayr in our tavern. And then from then on, I then met Lee Kernaghan, my mentor, and I sang with him at Tamworth. I've sang with him for 7 years now, from 2013 to now, at Tamworth and at his big concert in Tamworth. I've sang in Nashville, which was amazing. I sang at the Bluebird Cafe. I sang at Tootsie's with Jasper Charles, who was a young country music artist over there that's doing really well over there now. I wrote my Fierce album in Nashville. I sang at Disneyland. I got to open for 65 different CEOs from 65 different countries with Make-A-Wish. Yeah, which was amazing. So I got to tell them all about childhood cancer and Turn This to Gold. And a little boy named Caden, who had a brain tumour, wanted to be a pop star for his Make-A-Wish. So he sang Lee Kernaghan's part, which was a bit different if you look on the video, because he's trying to make it poppy and it's country, but that's all right. We made it work.
Well, so all of this from singing as a 4-year-old, and I just got to say, it just goes to show from little things, big things come. I've had, if I can digress for just a second, I've had a couple of people talk to me now about podcasting and go, oh, you've just come ex nihilo and this podcast seems to be taking off a little bit, and it's kind of doing okay. But I just want to make the observation, if you think you can, you probably can. Now, have a look at what Keely's done, and to say that the barriers and the hurdles that she's jumped is somewhat of an understatement. Like, if this young lady can, like you can, that's the whole thing about inspiration. It kind of like, you look at it and go, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. Give it a shot. It's true. You really can. It's not a cliche. If you're serious about something and you put your mind to it, you may find that you've got this talent. And really, this magnificent journey that Keely has gone through has come from singing as a 4-year-old in front of her family, and through this evolution, climbing all these steps. So that's what the inspirational stuff is, and that it really is the triumph of talent. So look, you spoke about, you did mention Longreach, did you?
No, I didn't. I opened the new part of Stockton's Hall of Fame in Longreach with Lee, and we sang Turn This to Gold at that, and that was absolutely amazing. And had a few too many drinks there, Lee did. But it was a great night. It was amazing, and he's the best mentor I could ever ask for. And the Wolf brothers, they're just as big mentors to me, and yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, because I lived out at Winton for a couple of years. I assure you that he is not the only person that has had too many drinks out at the Blue Heeler Hotel. I believe Chris McLaughlin has too, although I didn't want to drop that secret out on the air, being an ex-Mount Isa boy. So did you I understand that you sung at Townsville too, at the Cowboys game.
Yeah, so every year, my parents and I are season ticket holders at the Cowboys, North Queensland Cowboys, and I've been going, I have a photo up here on the wall when I was 2 of Mango, the blue cattle dog or koala or something, holding me. And so we've gone to them ever since we moved to Townsville, but now we're on the cane farm and air, but we drive backwards and forwards. And through the charity and everything, we made contact with them, and they're one of our sponsors. And I asked them, you know, could I sing the national anthem and my new music that comes out every year? And they say, yeah, go for it. So that's been amazing. And Lee came and sang one year in 2015, and that's great. They a great bunch of people that work for the North Queensland Toyota Cowboys.
Oh, of course, like, you know, being a North Queensland redneck myself, I'm a Cowboys, should I say cow persons? I'm not sure. I'm a Cowboys fan. And look, you did mention singing at Disneyland, and can you kind of singing in front of all these CEOs? Can you dive a little bit more into that, and also a little bit about Nashville? We're actually 20 minutes in now. This interview is flying past. Like, I've asked 2 questions, and we're at the 20-minute mark. But it's so interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So my mum got a on the front steps, because my mum's my manager, and got a phone call on the front steps of our old farmhouse here, and they said, oh, because I'd raised $350,000 for Make-A-Wish, they said, as a thank you, we would like to invite Keely over to sing Turn This to Gold at our massive big conference over there. And they were opening this, it was the 150,000th wish in Disneyland in America. And I thought, wow, that's the greatest opportunity. And Mum said to me on the front steps, and Dad was walking over from the shed, she said, oh, no, we can't go. We can't drop everything and leave, you know. We've got a farm to run, and, you know, I'm at work, and, you know, you've got, I think I was working at the time, you've got work, and, you know, Dad's supposed to be off work, and we had to think about it, and we just couldn't miss the opportunity. So we flew over there, and which was just incredible, and stayed at the Disneyland Resort, and went for the sound check, and yeah, it was amazing, because you could see all these in the audience. You could see all these different nationalities, from, you know, from the Chinese to New Zealand to Germany to, you know, Haiti to everywhere, and you could see all the translators, and it was just incredible, and an absolute honor to sing in front of all those CEOs and tell them about childhood cancer.
Wow, I bet. Mate, yeah. You co-wrote Fierce. Can you tell me how that came about?
So Fierce is the title track of my album, and I didn't, it was quite a coincidence how it came about, because my mum tagged me in a post just before we sat down. So I wrote it with Amanda Peterson in Nashville, and she was a waitress at the time. She's now a recording artist, but sat down in front of a piano, and my mum tagged me in a post that said, you are stronger than you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and something else, you are fierce. And I thought, oh, that's such a good line that someone had wrote on one of my posts or something like that. And so we looked at that, and I said, oh, Amanda, look at this. And then we just wrote Fierce from it, about, you know, all the hurdles that everyone, it's not just me that has to go through hurdles in life. You know, it's everyone. Every human being at some point in their life has gone through a tough time. And I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot worse off kids than me, than what I've been through. And I look at that every day. I get up, I think, you know, what about the little girls that are full of osteoarthritis, and, you know, the leukemia kids that are on chemo for 5 years. And yeah, you know, there's I just wanted to put something out there that people could see themselves getting past that really tough time.
Absolutely. And look, there's so much in that I'd kind of like to unpack, but to all the people that have given me feedback, thank you very much. I am obeying the 70-30 rule. I just want to point that out. But I want to make the observation that fundamentally, one of the things about the human condition is, and we've got this weird thing going on in society now where they say, if you haven't actually experienced this, you don't quite understand it. Well, every human being, as you've pointed out, has had some sort of tragedy or some sort of difficulty in their life that they've overcome. And that's the whole point about inspiration. It's like, well, it's better if this person went through the kind of thing that you're going through. Of course, that particularly resonates. But the idea of overcoming adversity and triumphing against it, that's what we do. And this idea that unless you've gone through that, it's not valid. I find it kind of odd. But it really is. Like, it's truly inspirational, Keely. It genuinely is. But look, obviously Lee Kernaghan is with the possible exception of your mum and me, your greatest fan. But who else? So he's going to be a great mentor. He's going to be a big influence. But whom else has influenced you, country, music-wise, with your writing? Because it's important to note that you both write and sing. Who else do you look to?
Well, my coach is Keely Johnson. So she has a vocal coach. She's my vocal coach that tries and makes me sing better when I decide to practice. And I've written some songs with her for my new album, my new kids album called Dance Like an Animal. And she's one of my biggest inspirations. I don't want to become Keely Johnson. I want to be the next Keely Johnson, but I often want to follow in her footsteps. And she's one of the big ones. But I suppose, a lot of the country music that I grew up to, Mum would always play, Lee Kernaghan's Baptise the Ute when I was in my car seat, and Tammy Wynette, Stand By Your Man, and all the divas of country music, and Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Slim Dusty. We grew up to all that sort of country. So, so it was great.
Mm. All right. Well, you know that Tammy Wynette was actually going through a divorce when she recorded Stand By Your Man. Are you aware of that?
No, I didn't know that.
Look it up. Hey, look, what makes good music?
I suppose I think my music's terrible. But, if you talk to every country music artist, they say, oh, I can't stand that song that I wrote and sing. I can't stand listening to my voice. But I suppose it's just whatever comes from the heart. Like, you're not just writing about, utes and girls and your broken heart and, blah, blah. It's, you're trying to write something that means something to someone. And I've been very fortunate. My mum and I have written a couple of songs we've written a couple of songs with Troy Kemp on the kids album, and she writes poetry, so that helps because I'm terrible at rhyming. But I suppose how I was raised, how my parents raised me was, you just write what comes from your heart, I suppose.
Mm. And look, that does lead on to a question that you are going to find difficult. I'm going to have to put you on the spot. All right. Which one of your songs do you like the most?
Oh, well, Kissed Her, Turn This to Gold was my favourite till I released my album Fierce. I couldn't stand listening to it because my voice sounds terrible in it, but other people love it. But that was my favourite song at the time because I sang that with Lee. But now it has to be Kissed Her, and I suppose not because of the song. It's really fun to sing, but it's probably the story behind it, and the political correct version is when I get up on a big stage, I'm supposed to say, this is written for all the bull riders out there that can't make it home to their partners. They'd rather be kissing dirt than going home to their partners. But the true story behind it was I was out at a Ravenswood a pub, Ravenswood pub, which is just about 45 minutes outside of Ayr, a little tiny town that's haunted, if you wouldn't believe. And I met this guy. We were all sitting around. We were having this campfire thing, and it was for the Royal Flying Doctors. So I was singing for free, and talking to this young country guy, and I thought he was cute. And we were talking for 6 months over Snapchat, and 6 hours on the phone and everything. And I said, before I went to Nashville, I thought, oh, well, I'll ask him out because, I'm going to be halfway across the world. So I'll ask him out and, make sure he doesn't run off with some other chick. And he left me on read for 3 hours, and then he came back with a capital No, N-O, and then apostrophe. I thought, oh, righto. So I was quite hurt by that, and I unfriended him on everything. Like you do when you're 18 or 17, and I was telling this story over in Nashville to Jamie Kyle and Chris Pelser, who's my producer, and he said, oh, what would you tell him if you saw him now? What would you tell him? Because he had a girlfriend straight away after he said no to me, and which I was a bit hurt about. And I said, oh, I'd tell him to go get stuffed, but in much more colourful language. There's probably kids listening. And then Chris said to me, oh, no, you can't put that in a song, Keely. You can't tell him, go get stuffed. So I thought, oh, Well, and then that's how he wrote Kiss Dirt. So I'd rather kiss dirt than kiss him.
Well, I bet you he's, I don't know if he's kissing dirt, but I bet you he's eating his heart out. That I can indicate with, I can indicate
Yeah.
some degree of strength. But see this cheesy grin? Have you, with you? Have you got your guitar with you?
No, I haven't, but I can sing something for you.
Would you?
Set up here. Yeah, of course I can.
Dude, okay.
What would you like?
Well, I'm going to play. Look, I've got the recorded version of my favourite song ready. It kind of led into your favourite song. So how about you play us a little bit? And because we're halfway through, Keely, so we can't do the whole song. Just do your favourite, make the chorus and your favourite verse of I'd Rather Kiss Dirt.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't mess around when it comes to my heart. You took me down, down, down with a single word. Now you want another shot. Didn't give me all you got. Here comes the chill, here comes the pain. I don't need the hurt. I'd rather drag chains from broken glass. Feel the heat burning down the past. Take the shine out of the stars. I'd rather force rocks up a broken hill. Cry a tear, oh yes I will. I don't need the heart. I'd rather kiss dirt.
Oh, mate, really, I really like it. And look, obviously through the lag with Facebook, in considering the lag and all the electronic issues that we've got. And look, David Hudson went live with me as well too, and had the lag as well. So look, thank you. That's absolutely awesome. Look, my favorite song, and I'm kind of tempted to play it now, but I'll think, we will kind of come. No, you know what? I am going to play it now because it's going to lead into some of the questions about the themes in your song. As I told you, my favorite song is of yours is "Cowboys Love Their Angels," and it's got so much to it. It's the one that I like. It's the one that I like the best. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to kind of like bring that. I'm going to bring that up. All right, pushing off screen. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, stand by. Okay. Damn right they do. They certainly do. Cowboys do indeed love their angels. And ladies and gentlemen, for all the listeners out there, of course, Keely has a website. It's https://www.keelyjohnson.gold. So that's keelyjohnson.gold. If you Google Keely Johnson music or anything like that, it'll come up. She's got a website. It's excellent. Get on there. She's also on YouTube. So if you want more of the music, there's a reason why we only did the teasers. If you want more of the music, of course, buy her CDs would be my first suggestion. But jump on the website, have a listen to that. Now, the whole thing about Cowboys Love Their Angels is that it goes right through this really, really beautiful story of people meeting, and then they lose each other. Now, look, there's a lot of themes of death and parting in your music, and I kind of understand why, considering that you've faced death on a number of occasions now. But in your music, I've noticed, and this is just my observation, feel free to say, no, Matt, you've misinterpreted, because it's your music. But I get the feeling that you see death as more of a parting than a complete finish and a finality. And furthermore, to add to this, and it's going to be a loaded question for you, I suppose, you kind of don't seem to fear death. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Cowboys and Angels, Jealous of the Angels, that's a cover that a lady sang in America that my mum found that song. And I sing that a lot at a lot of funerals with friends of mine. And even Turns to Gold's got a, that sort of same topic. When I was younger, I always thought, I think my biggest fear was that when someone died, there would be nothing there. But my mum has done 30 years in nursing, and she's talked to patients that, have seen a nurse jump on top of their body and then wake up from being dead, and then wake up and remember that nurse jumping on top of their body doing CPR. Wow. Yeah, and some of the stories she's told me, which I won't go into because of confidentiality reasons, but yeah, it's really amazing. And I think, I say that Declan Hegarty, he passed away from childhood cancer from a glioblastoma tumour in his spinal cord, is my biggest inspiration. But I think, looking at it now, because I'm a nurse, and my mum's a nurse, my nana was a nurse, and so was my pop's sister was a nurse, Auntie Norma, which is her real name was Norma Bertelson, and she's probably my biggest inspiration when it comes to someone. She died when I was 1. She was like a mother to my mum, and I never knew her because I was 1 when she died. But I think a lot of my music, I always think of her when I'm singing "Jealous of the Angels," or she delivered something like 30,000 babies over her lifetime. She was just incredible. Yeah, she was just incredible, and my mum is her. And yeah, so I look at both those women in my life, and even though we don't have Auntie Norma anymore, I look at both them that are very inspiring. And my mum has just come back from day shift today, and been saving people's lives. So I think even though that I've lost a lot of friends from childhood cancer, I've lost this woman that was such a big inspiration to my mum and a big inspiration to me. And I see a lot of my mum in her when I look at photos. And yeah, so I suppose, I never knew. I've been close to death. I got told that I was going to be in a coffin before I was 21 if I didn't have brain surgery in 2018. I used to be afraid of it. But I know that, Auntie Norma's waiting for me on the other side. And yeah.
Wow. And again,
yeah.
There's so much in that too. And the first thing I've got to do, because I know that I will go off on a tangent, because it's kind of Northern Vibe. That's what happens on Northern Vibe. But, a big shout out to any emergency services workers out there, but especially the dead set legends on the front line of our healthcare. So if you're working anywhere in healthcare, if you're a doctor, a nurse, if you're a paramedic, ambulance officer, an OT, if you, associated health, if you're anything like that, you are a dead set legend. You're our best and our brightest. So we thank the Lord God Almighty for the work that you do. And that's no small thing. But you're a nurse. Well, I've done a little bit of research on you, eh? Like I feel like I know you really, really well. I didn't know that. So have you actually practiced, or is it you've just been too busy with everything else?
I work at the Home Hill Nursing Home, which I probably shouldn't have said that on here because people will be turning up. But yes, I look after all our oldies, all our residents, and help them with their daily needs. And I'm not as qualified as my mum, but I'd like to study to become as qualified as her. And yeah, I could say I keep looking at her thinking how amazing she is. And like you said, our healthcare workers are our most important. And I needed a backup plan because because of COVID, I've lost all my gigs, so I had to go back nursing.
All right. So, are you an EN or an RN?
I'm an AIN, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I help all the oldies with all their daily needs and everything.
All right. You know, we are 40 minutes into this interview and it's absolutely flown. And I had so many other things that I want to ask you, but we've really got to go. Please tell me about the, we've really got to go into this subject, I should say. Tell me about the golden octopus.
So the golden octopus I started in 2015. I was going through chemo at the time and I just turned over 16. And, oh no, it would have been, yeah, that's right. So I was 16, turning 17, and I said to Mum, I said, I was sitting there in the chemo chair and we were making necklaces for my jewellery line called Bella Bambini Gift Service at the time. It's changed its name now to KSJ Jewellery. And we would make necklaces and raise $1,000 lots to all different charities. And we did 30 different charities of $1,000 lots. And people kept wanting to give us money all the time, and we couldn't take it legally because we weren't a charity. So I kept saying to Mum, how can we set this up? Maybe we should start a charity. And Mum's thinking, oh, God, Keely, where do you get these bright ideas? Because I have to do all the work because I'm not smart enough to do all the paperwork and everything. I sat there when she would sit in this hot house. So when we were down on chemo, we rented this hot house just to have our 2 hours. And she would sit on her big laptop that she had and type this constitution out. And, it was so much work to do. But I tell you what, we opened the Golden Octopus, and thanks to James Barrett, who sadly passed away now, he made it Australia-wide. And basically the Golden Octopus was there so people could donate money to us, and it was going to the right cause. And the Golden Octopus, what it is 8 arms of childhood cancer. And we have a little stuffed octopus called Ollie. And we also have a new one that's launching this year, or hopefully maybe next year, because next year is not that far away, called Olivia. And it's the 8 arms of childhood cancer. So here we go. Here's our little Ollie. And he's got a black hat, thank you. He's got a black hat on him because Lee Koenig is our ambassador. And then here's his little sister, Olivia, that hasn't been launched yet. So you're one of the first people that's seen our Olivia. And so that's Ollie's little sister. And so each leg on the octopus represents a childhood cancer. And so this one's bone, this one's brain, this one's spinal, this one's blood. And then there's 4 others that, you have neuroblastoma, glioblastoma, which doesn't really fit in anywhere. There's a whole heap of them. And you can go onto our website and see them all. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. And so it was either between an octopus and a spider. And I thought, God, kids aren't going to like a spider. So we had people arguing with us when we put the poll up saying, oh, you can't have an octopus because they shoot ink. So we came back and said, no, an octopus doesn't shoot ink. It's the squid shoots ink. Octopus puts your arm around and tries to suck you. So I'm just losing it over here. So so what we do is basically like the McGrath Foundation. We put rural nurses in regional areas and try and keep our kids at home. Because my family had to move down to Brisbane for a year for chemo, and wasn't very nice. So we also give $1,000 lots out to all different families. We've given $10,000 worth of 10 $1,000 lots this year to 10 different families. We sent out care packs at COVID. While I was working, I did up 55 care packs in plastic boxes with an Ollie and a stubby cooler and colouring in books and masks and gloves and hand sanitizer, and sent them out to 50 families across Australia. And we just do stuff that other charities don't. And today I got a message from Katie Mule that her son's little Nate slowly passing away, and we just gave them $1,000 to help, if he needs a chair to make his palliative care more comfortable, or, if that goes towards his funeral. So we're just, we're the little people's charity that's slowly gotten there, and we need $380,000 for our first nurse, and we're $300,000 towards the way. We just need another $80,000, and that's 3 years worth of wages for our first nurse. And the reason that we have to do that is so that a nurse can sign the contract and say, oh yeah, I'm locked in for 3 years. And the first one will be going into the Townsville district, and Mount Isa, Cairns. We're going all across Australia with our nurses. So that'll be happening soon. And to try and get our money quicker, I've said I'm walking Dakota track next year, which I'm going to need a push, I think. Mum's coming on with me. She'll have to push me up Dakota track because I haven't started training yet. But no. So, yeah, that's another thing I'm going to be doing for kids with cancer is walking Dakota.
Okay, so country singer-songwriter, country singer, country songwriter, country music songwriter, charity founder, raiser of money for charity, nurse,
motivational speaker, jewellery writer, great delegator to mother. Delegation's an important skill. Let's not. When do you sleep? But look, I really do want to dig into, so you're dealing with this young child who's going to die, and I assume he knows it? Like, is he? He's a bit little. He doesn't understand. He's only 3 or 4. He's a bit little to understand that he's dying. But I've dealt with a lot of kids that have passed away, and we've known a lot of kids. My mum's the CEO of Golden Octopus, and we've both dealt with a lot of kids that have passed away. And I think my biggest honour in the charity would be there was a little girl in Perth named Kyra, and she wanted to use a Make-A-Wish to meet me. Now, I couldn't. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so I didn't think I was well known enough to get a Make-A-Wish used on me, but I said to her, no, you're not using your wish on me. That's not happening. She had cancer, and she wanted to be like me when she grew up. And so the Golden Octopus paid for my flights over to Perth to surprise and meet her. So we didn't. We didn't let her use a wish. We paid to send me over there, and we had a picnic. We had a party in the Perth park for her. We sent Ollies over to Princess Alexandra Princess Margaret Perth Hospital. We lit the Parliament House gold with all the parliamentarians on the steps with her. Yeah. Yeah, sang in the hospital to turn this to gold. Yeah, so we just did that over a 2-day period, and that was my biggest honour, I think, to this day.
Wow. Someone's wishes wanted to meet you. That's quite cool. Okay, it's not going to go on your resume, but man, that's kind of absolutely awesome. Like, how do the kids handle it? Like, when they're going through that, I mean, how did you handle it? Like, what do you do when you're faced with that much adversity? Like, what do you tell the kids?
My biggest saying is you become what you believe. And I have that written on my Facebook, and I look at that every time I look at Facebook, and like I said before, my road to success is still under construction. It always will be. And I think it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy going through chemo. I would sit there and I wouldn't know if I was going to run to the toilet or run to a bowl to spew, or, I would sit there and shake until my face would go bright red, and I would have rigors that bad. It wasn't pretty, but I got through at the end of it, and once I had that last 60th round, I thought, oh God, thank God it's over. And there's always someone worse off, and that's what I think. And a lot of the little kids that you see that are going through it, or teenagers, they just do it because they're kids. They bounce back from anything, and we all did, yeah.
Yeah, look, it's not at the same level as you, but I was involved in a very serious car accident in 2004, and I had some follow-up injuries after that, actually, and I snapped the tendon over my knee.
Oh no.
Yeah, so yeah, it's nothing compared to police. But when I came out of surgery, because, there's nil by mouth, and it was in the middle of summer, man, I was, what it's like, it's thirsty as hell, and it's even air conditioning. I kind of like woke up and I'm in the ward there. You come, it is, you look around and coming out of, because, being right under anesthetic, it's kind of weird because you don't dream, you don't have that, it's odd. And there was this guy in my ward who kind of like saw that I was a little bit miserable, and I was getting all like, oh man, why is this happening to me? Blah, blah, blah. Sort of stuff. This guy comes and sits on the bed and he just started talking to me. In Canada, I kind of didn't want to talk to him. I said, man, can you just sod off, leave me alone? I want to wallow in my own misery here. Kind of feeling good with that. Long story short, he talked me out. I won't go through the precise conversation. 70-30. We've only got 10 minutes, and I've got a follow-up question for you. But long story short, he was in the Second World War, and I don't know if you've ever seen the movie A Bridge Too Far, or if you're familiar with Arnhem. Really, really quickly, there was right towards the end of the war in 1944, Montgomery, the general, decided he was going for the industrial area of Germany, which is the Ruhr. So they wanted to like stab right through, and they need to take all these bridges, 3 bridges, going through present day Holland mostly. And there was a group of paratroopers who were holding this last bridge, and they were just getting hammered. And he was in the armored regiment who was stabbing towards to try and get these guys. They were stopped by they hit a Waffen SS battalion, and in the hand-to-hand fighting, he got a bullet that hit him, because the human pelvis is shaped like that. So the bullet has come in from his right-hand side, and it's gone in through there. It's bounced off the bottom, like right down the bottom of his hip. It's hit the top of his like pelvis bit there, gone across the front of like his bladder and everything else. Hit the other bone there. It's not over yet. Hit the other bone there, bounced down and lodged basically where the top of his leg was. And of course that ruined his intestines. It ruined his bladder. It ruined everything else. But he didn't know it until, like the operation that he was in speaking to me about was a follow-up operation to kind of fix this. But the bullet had taken a bit of his battle dress, so his uniform, and it had lodged against a nerve. Nerves work is like every now and then you can just be walking, and this thing had moved, it had changed, and it blocked the nerve, and he just like collapsed. Yeah,
Oh my God.
he was telling me this story. He'd literally been in and out of hospital. So this was 2005. This guy was shot in 1944. And I'm kind of thinking, you know what, Matt? You need to shut the hell up and harden the hell up.
Yeah.
He was an amazing guy. And again, he was someone else that I got off, I got to know a little bit, that was just amazing to me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Look, we're almost coming up to the hour, and I'm just enjoying this so much. I'm not going to go into the outtake just yet. I really want to know about your new album. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I'm doing a kids album. So because I have a kids charity, I thought, what a better way to get the kids involved than do a kids album. And, it's just a fun little project that hopefully takes off. It's my album's called Dance Like an Animal. And we have all different animals. I can't give too much away because my business manager will cut my hands off. But, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be released around June, July next year. Also, it has to be finished by June, July next year. Then it'll be released in November. It'll hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be out by Groundwater Country Music Festival.
Wow. Okay. Well, look, we are running out of time. And as much as I kind of want to stay on here, actually, I've got to be honest too, I don't know if my emotions will handle much more of this. I got to say, like, it really has been a sincerely moving interview, Keely. And like the skill set and the skill stack that you have is genuinely amazing. And I stand by what I said at the beginning of this interview, that inspirational is perhaps the best adjective to use to describe you, it was a great interview. And I'm sure looking at, actually I can say with a lot of confidence, looking at the Facebook love that we're getting already, that the guests loved it. So I know that all my guests out there, you love finding out as much about this magnificent young lady as I do, this well of talent that lives in Ayr. Please do like and share. We really need people to do that. People need to hear about Keely, her story, and they need to support not just her music or charities or anything else, but the things that she's doing. So please make sure that Keely's message gets out there. Every Wednesday, my colleague David Young does an excellent podcast on Podbeam, Yes to a North Queensland State. It's Wednesday nights between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Get the Podbeam app, have a listen. Next week on Monday, you guys are going to love this. You are going to love this. I have got the UFO people from Cardwell. Now, Cardwell every year has the UFO festival. So I've got the founder of the festival who's had a UFO experience, and I've also secured a person from like the kind of peak UFO body in Australia, a bloke, a doctor, a neurologist who lives in Sydney. You have to tune in for this. It's going to be, well, I don't know if it's as good as this, but it is, it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. So next week, Monday, make sure you tune in. Thanks very much again, Keely. We'll pretty much wrap it up there. I'll get you to stay on for just a second. I want to have a quick chat, but please tune in next week, like and share. To everybody who's supported Northern Vibe and is supporting Keely Johnson, thank you very much. You're all dead set legends.